Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 94th episode of Don't Forget the Popcorn. Some of the best movies to watch are movies no one talks about and movies that not many have seen. I love when I ask someone their favorite movie and they tell me some B horror movie or some weird indie no one has heard of. They can often be a gem or a piece of trash. Today, we're going to talk about one of those movies. Shout outs to Marlon Bellamy for the request. Bro, thanks for forcing me to sit down and watch some of these movies. I appreciate that. Like I've said, if you guys want me to review a film, just let me know in the comments and I'll do it for you. Now, it is the hot ass month of July, so I'm glad I watched a horror movie to remind me of cooler times of the year. Today we are discussing 1990's Death by Temptation, directed by James Bond III. Now, this movie I have also heard of, but one of those ones that somehow got away from me. Movies in 1990 are a little strange. They have this odd in between feeling of 80s and 90s, and it seems to have an identity crisis. But not this movie. This movie feels so 90s. It got that great early 90s vibe that black movies had back then that we will never have again. The clothes and the music, the era of Spike Lee, Martin Lawrence, the Wayans brothers, Eddie Murphy, a time where black voices were really starting to get their name heard and recognized. From comedy to horror and drama, black actors were really starting to branch out and make the movies that represented their experiences while also being original and playful, making light of some of the issues that were still hindering the black community and spreading awareness on issues while keeping it in the confinements of the subject matter. A time before Tyler Perry. Death by Temptation is exactly that movie. A film that shows the rise and successes of many blacks in the time where more opportunities are available to them. A film where all the characters are taking advantage of the opportunities they have, whether it be positive or negative. A film about success, lust, sin, and excess. A film that teaches men a lesson about women. Oddly a common thing in 90s movies directed and written by black men. Think of a thin line between love and hate, How to Be a Player, or even Boomerang. Death by Temptation falls into that same category, where they are trying to teach us a lesson, scare us straight about women. I don't know, but the time of being a player in the 90s was a big one. Listen to the rap music that was coming out, watch the movies. Some glorified life, and some were trying to warn us. Now, I could be way off with that, but in my life experiences and observation, I've learned that matters of the heart can lead to irreversible damage to someone mentally, physically, or both. Death by Temptation's plot is a little strange to put into words. It's about a young man, Joel, who was in school to practice ministry, who begins to question his life and what he wants. He moves from the South to New York City to live with his former schoolmate, who has now found success as an actor. All the while, there is a succubus out killing overly lustful men she seduces. Her ultimate goal is to find Joel and kill him, as his future in ministry could be a threat to her existence. Now, for a low budget film, I must highlight that the writing here is actually decent. The dialogue between the characters is actually funny, especially in the bar scenes, which a lot of the movie takes place. The opening scene gives us a great example of that and what the movie is about. So let me just tell you about it for a second. We got this bartender, played by John Canada Terrell. He was like a pretty boy in everything he was in. Big in shape black dude with some finger waves and this like 70s pimp vibe to him. He was the rich boyfriend and she's gotta have it, the Spike Lee joint. He is working behind the bar and he's on the phone with this girl. The conversation is hilarious and detestable all at once. He's talking to this woman he's been sleeping with. She tells him she's pregnant. He basically tells her to either handle that situation or don't call him. But he does offer her to bill him for the visit to the clinic after she gets it done. Right after he hangs up with her, he immediately begins hitting on the woman at the bar. Now, I'm not judging this man, even though it seems like I was. I don't judge people. I may not like them or their actions, but I do not judge because it's not my place. I'm not perfect, and neither is anyone else. This woman openly hits on this man right back and invites him over for a cocktail and some tail. Now, this is where I think we start getting the lessons here. If it feels too good to be true, then it probably is. The best things in life are the things that you gotta work for. In my own experiences, because yes, I've lived some life. The best ladies I've been with are ones that I had to put effort into. Those are the ones I would like more, no matter how attractive she was. The ladies that came easy went easy as well. Those surface level and meaningless encounters are easily forgotten, but none are regrets. We build character through experience. Like I said, I don't judge and respect all the lovely ladies that I've had the pleasure of getting to know, whether it was for a long time or a short time. The bartender is acting solely on lust here, not thinking about anything but the pleasure. One thing is, man, you gotta humble yourself sometimes. No matter how smooth, good looking, rich, whatever, we can all get played. We can all get fucked over. But some things we can't heal from or learn from because some things will literally kill us. That's what happened to my man's here. He saw a woman he thought was extremely good looking, who immediately offered him to come over and have sex with her. Bro, that whole scenario is a red flag. I have been in this situation. A highly attractive drunk woman was very ready to go, and I just had to turn it down. It didn't feel right. Now, young men, you may think I'm stupid, but men with some life experience, you could probably agree I may have made the right choice. Unfortunately, our bartender friend made the wrong choice. This woman slept with this man and killed him on some demon shit. Now let's talk about our temptress for a second. She doesn't have a name, which says even more about the men she's sleeping with. She's played by Cynthia Bond, who I don't think really had much of a career after this. She's a light-skinned lady who, for the time, I guess could see men liking her a lot. But she wasn't particularly my flavor. An important character in the movie points out that there is just something about her that freaks me out. I really feel him there. I really didn't understand the appeal of this woman to these men. Was she pretty? I mean, sure, on a surface level, but I found some of the other background lady characters more appealing than the lead. Not only that, I think her acting was god awful. Luckily, all the actors around her are pretty good. She was an asshole. Her character truly shows how desperate some men can be in order to get with a woman they find beautiful. We've all been there. She treats all these men like shit, yet they still fall into her trap. Now, I think that was actually brilliant writing because let's keep it real. We see this shit every day on both sides. Women stay with bad guys, guys stay with bad women. The Temptress is some kind of demon from hell. The film does a terrible job of explaining this. They even dedicate a whole scene to it, and it still isn't quite clear why she's there exactly. But it really doesn't matter. It doesn't even need to be explained. But her main goal, like I said earlier, is to kill Joel, a nerdy minister in training from the South who moves to New York. Now let's talk about Joel and Kay, because I'm not going to break this movie down scene by scene, but rather paint the overall picture of what I think the movie was trying to accomplish. Joel has been dealing with some PTSD from the death of his mentor in ministry and father, played by Sam Jackson. A brief role. He lives with his grandmother and has been on the straight path, living a sin-free life. He doesn't drink or engage with women. This shows us some strong restraint, which is challenged later in the film. Kay is Joel's best friend. They grew up together in ministry school, but he dropped out to pursue acting in New York. He drinks and engages with women. These men are total opposite, but they are best friends, and it's believable. Joel is played by Bond III himself, and Kay is played by legend Kadeem Hardison. At the end of the day, this movie is about thinking with the head on your shoulders instead of the one between your legs, which both men do on various occasions. When Joel gets to New York, the two men have a blast together. Life is about decisions, and Joel has a big one to make. He is at a very tough crossroads, being pulled in one direction that feels like you're doing something good for the people, or you do what feels great for yourself. Joel's dealing with this well, taking advice from his friend on life while also experiencing things from himself in the big city. The city offers drugs, alcohol, and sex, all the things he's supposed to be avoiding. Environment can shift one's morals and beliefs, and temptation is real. The title of this movie is very fitting. How does one maintain their morals when everyone around you is acting differently than you? Joel is challenged in more ways than just a woman. Drinking, nightlife, fancy clothes. All these things he wasn't exposed to are at his fingertips, and it's up to him to make the right decisions. This movie draws a very distinct line between good and evil, in a literal sense. All the good guys seem bad, and all the bad guys seem good. One thing this movie shows you is you can't judge a book by its cover. A regular at the bar who is constantly harassing the ladies turns out to be a trustworthy guy, and the lady everyone wants is the most evil force on earth. I won't spoil this movie and how it ends because I know a lot of people haven't seen it, but I must say, the ending is amazing and terrible all at once. There are some unanswerable questions in this movie that do leave you thinking about it after it's over. This film is simple and straightforward, but somehow does make you think about a lot of things. There's tons of fun things to break down in this movie. Nothing that is too deep, but enough for you and your friends to chew on after it's over. So, is this a good movie? Well, I'll get to that. Like I talked about earlier, it's a low budget black horror film from the 90s, which is a great thing. Tales from the Hood, Vampire in Brooklyn, and Candyman are some of my favorites, and I think this movie is one that will be watched again at some point. Having said that, come on. You know this movie is littered with flaws. Some of the dream sequences are so poorly edited, my lord. Our lead, Joel, played by the director, was a weak spot for me. Although he's okay as a character, I think he wasn't suited for the role. He should have saw if Spike Lee would have played this role. While we're at it, we could have recasted the Temptress too. Pick any black actress from the 90s and I'm sure they would have been better. Another thing, a lot of these scenarios are so unbelievable. Like the married dude who takes his ring off when he walks in the bar. Like, man, that whole scene is just terrible. Luckily, we're in a time where the cheesy horror effects of the 80s and 90s are being appreciated. So if you like that, you'll love this movie. The crazy thing is, this was one of my more entertaining movies I watched in my 6-movie block. This movie is a time capsule piece, and I must say, I did enjoy this film quite a bit. Maybe a little too much. It's funny and oddly keeps you on edge the whole time. I wouldn't suggest this movie to just anyone though. Horror fans will love it. 90s black movie fans will love it. It's got this charm to it that's sort of undeniable. It falls short in a ton of ways, but makes up for all of it in heart and character. This film has a pulse to it, and I was engaged the entire time. So having said all that, I'm going to give Death by Temptation a 7.3 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much for watching my Death by Temptation review. Let me know if there's a film or topic you'd like me to review. Like and subscribe. It's free. I appreciate it. Follow me on Letterboxd, Ralph Bader. I'll link that below. I got a podcast with my buddy, The Cutting Room Floor. That'll be linked below for more movie content. I will be back next week. And don't forget the popcorn.